The Galactic Council promised peace. They spoke of unity, cooperation, and a shared future among the stars. To humanity, their words sounded like hope. After centuries of struggle, Earth had finally earned a place among the stars. The Council welcomed them with open arms, offering trade, technology, and friendship. Humanity trusted them. For years, Earth believed the galaxy had finally accepted them as equals. But behind the Council's smiles, fear and jealousy grew like a poison. The aliens saw something in humans that terrified them, not their strength, but their potential. Humanity was learning too fast, adapting too easily, creating weapons and technologies far beyond what any young species should have. The Council feared that one day, Earth would no longer be under their control. So they planned a betrayal. It began quietly. One morning, Earth's colonies on Mars and Titan went dark. The communication relays fell silent. At first, people thought it was a solar storm. But then came the first transmission, broken, full of static, screams in the background. "This is Titan Base, we are under attack." The feed cut off. No one ever heard from them again. Panic spread through the Terran system. Fleets were sent to investigate, but what they found left the entire planet in shock. Mars was burning. The colony domes had been shattered, cities reduced to glass. Thousands were dead. Among the wreckage, investigators found something strange, fragments of alien weapons, each marked with the insignia of the Galactic Council Defense Force. Humanity had been betrayed by the very ones who promised protection. The Council denied everything. They called it an accident, blaming a rogue alien faction. They claimed they had no knowledge of the attack. But the evidence was clear, the energy signatures, the tactics, the ships, it was them. Earth's leaders demanded answers. The Council only sent silence. In the dark halls of the United Earth Command, the admirals and generals gathered. Their faces were grim. On the main screen, the images of burning colonies looped again and again. Admiral Reyes stood at the center, his voice calm but cold. "They wanted peace," he said, "but they brought us war." Around him, the officers nodded. No one spoke of surrender. There was only anger and the quiet promise of revenge. In the following months, humanity played along. They continued to attend council meetings, signing meaningless treaties, sending fake reports of weakness and repair. The council believed humanity was broken, mourning, too busy burying their dead to fight back. They had no idea what was happening deep beneath the surface of the moon. Under the cold, gray dust, far from alien eyes, construction had begun. Massive hangars dug into the rock held the skeletons of something terrifying, new ships. Larger, faster, stronger than anything the council fleets had ever seen. The project had one name, Retribution. Every ship that rose from the lunar forges carried a single purpose, to avenge Earth. The engineers worked in silence, the workers swore oaths of secrecy, and the scientists built weapons that no alien mind could understand. The betrayal had awakened something old and dangerous inside humanity, a hunger for justice. The people united like never before. No nations, no divisions, only one purpose. Humanity would rise again, and this time, the galaxy would remember. On the night of the final vote, the United Earth Council sat in darkness. The only light came from the stars outside the window and the burning hologram of Mars. Every leader in the room knew what was coming. "Once we launch," said Admiral Reyes, "there is no turning back." A quiet voice answered from the shadows. "Then we will not turn back." Outside, far above Earth's surface, a single fleet hovered in silence. Their hulls were black, coated in material that absorbed light itself. They were invisible to alien scanners, unseen to the Council's eyes. Humanity's secret was complete. The betrayal had forged something the galaxy had never witnessed before, a united, vengeful Earth. Far below, the people still grieved. Families mourned the lost, children watched the skies, waiting for justice. Across the planet, recruitment centers filled faster than ever before. Soldiers, pilots, scientists, everyone wanted to fight. Humanity was no longer afraid. The time of fear had ended the day the first alien ship fired on Mars. As weeks turned to months, whispers spread through the stars. Some traders spoke of ghost ships appearing near the edges of space, ships that vanished before being scanned. The council dismissed the rumors, calling them human propaganda. But fear had already begun to spread. Deep down, the council knew they had made a terrible mistake. You cannot betray those who have nothing left to lose. In secret, Admiral Reyes sent his first encrypted transmission to all colonies still standing. The message was short, only 3 words: prepare the fleet. That night, the moon glowed brighter than ever. Inside the hidden hangars, thousands of workers cheered as the first warship powered up. Its engines roared like thunder, shaking the ground. The name written across its hull said it all: vengeance. Humanity's war fleet was no longer a dream. It was real. It was alive. And soon, it would rise. In the silence of space, among the cold stars, a storm was coming, a human storm. Those who betrayed Earth had no idea what was waiting for them. The galaxy had taken humanity's kindness for weakness. But that illusion was about to end. The Council had broken their promise. Now, Earth would break their world. Beneath the cold and silent surface of the moon, humanity's secret heart began to beat. The betrayal had changed everything. Once, humans had dreamed of friendship among the stars, but now they dreamed only of justice. Deep underground, hidden from every alien sensor, the greatest project in human history had begun: Project Retribution. It was not announced, not celebrated, not recorded in any database. It lived only in whispers, in secret orders, and in the hearts of those who refused to forget. The lunar tunnels echoed with the sound of machines. Sparks flew as workers welded the skeletons of ships larger than cities. The air vibrated with the hum of energy cores, new engines that used something the aliens thought impossible: dark matter. Human scientists had studied it for years, and now they had turned it into power. The Galactic Council scanners couldn't detect it, and their systems couldn't understand it. These warships would be invisible to their enemies until it was far too late. Admiral Reyes stood on a high platform, watching one of the ships take shape. Its hull was a dark mirror, swallowing light, bending it around itself. "How long before it's ready?" he asked. The engineer beside him, a woman with oil-stained hands, looked tired but proud. 3 months, she said. Maybe less. Once the core stabilizes, she'll be able to cross entire systems without being seen. Reyes nodded. Good. Every day we wait, they grow bolder. The engineer glanced at him. Sir, when we launch, what will we tell them? Reyes's eyes were cold. Nothing. We won't tell them anything. They'll know when the stars go dark. In the months that followed, Earth changed. While the public was told that peace talks continued, the real work took place in the shadows. Factories on Mars's moons began to rebuild under secret military control. On Earth, every scientist, every engineer, every soldier worked in silence, united by one purpose. Humanity had no allies now, only enemies and memories. The Galactic Council continued to pretend that nothing was wrong. Their ambassadors still smiled, still spoke of unity, still sent meaningless reports of stability. They had no idea what humanity was building right under their noses. On the moon's far side, 12 massive hangars stretched for miles. Inside each one, a warship slept. They were called the Eclipse class, ships designed for destruction, for silence, for vengeance. Each ship carried railguns the size of skyscrapers and cannons powered by artificial singularities. Every piece of alien technology humanity had been given by the Council had been studied, improved, and turned into a weapon. Humanity no longer played by galactic rules. They were rewriting them. In one of the underground command centers, Captain Mira walked alongside Admiral Reyes. Her eyes were sharp, her steps silent. She had lost her entire family in the Mars attack. To her, every bolt placed into a warship was justice served. They think we're still weak, she said. Reyes didn't look at her. Let them. Fear grows best in the dark. Mira smiled faintly. Then we should give them darkness. Around them, holograms of enemy fleets flickered, council armadas, trade convoys, communication networks. They were studying every weakness, every route, every blind spot. No one outside of Earth Command knew how far the planning had gone. Every mission, every strike, every future target was already mapped out. We won't strike first, Reyes finally said. Not yet. But when we do, there will be no warning, no mercy, no surrender. The silence that followed carried the weight of an entire species. Far above them, in the void of space, drones drifted silently. They mapped alien patrol routes and recorded Council fleet movements. Every piece of data came back to the moon, feeding the war machine humanity had become. The Council noticed something strange, ships disappearing near the edges of human space, stations going offline. They assumed pirates or technical malfunctions. They never suspected humans were testing weapons that could bend light and rip through matter. One night, a prototype cannon was fired for the first time. The target was a dead moon orbiting a gas giant. With a blinding flash, half the moon simply vanished. The scientists cheered quietly, but no one smiled for long. They all knew what this power meant. Humanity had crossed a line, one they could never return from. The fleet grew larger every week. Hundreds of thousands of people worked in silence. Every corner of Earth contributed, factories from old nations, orbital stations, forgotten outposts, all feeding the same purpose. Humanity had become one nation, one will, one storm. The young called themselves the children of retribution. The old called them heroes. Some called them monsters. But all knew that something unstoppable was coming. The Galactic Council tried to spy, of course. Their stealth probes approached the solar system again and again. None ever returned. The humans captured them, disassembled them, and sent false signals back, convincing the aliens that Earth was still broken and harmless. It was the perfect lie. In one secret meeting aboard the flagship Vengeance, the senior officers gathered. The ship's core was fully active for the first time. The energy readings were off the charts. If the Council discovers this, they'll attack again, one officer warned. Admiral Reyes turned to him slowly. Then let them come. This time, we'll be ready. Outside the viewport, the black surface of the ship shimmered faintly as energy rippled across its armor. It was as if space itself bent to avoid it. Humanity had created something the galaxy had never seen before, ships made from nightmares. Every part of them was built with purpose. Every weapon was designed to end what the Council had started. The betrayal had united humanity, but it had also changed them. The kindness that once defined them was now buried under loss and fire. They no longer sought friendship among the stars. They sought justice. As weeks passed, the whispers began again. Alien traders spoke of strange shadows moving through uncharted systems. Some said they saw ships that reflected no light, that vanished when scanned. The Council ignored these rumors, just as they ignored the warnings from their border worlds. But the fear was spreading. On the moon, Admiral Reyes stood before his fleet. Rows of black warships stretched into the distance. Engines glowed softly, waiting for his command. The silence was deep, powerful, sacred. "We are the children of Earth," he said quietly. They thought we would kneel. They thought we would break. They were wrong. From this day forward, the galaxy will remember that humanity never forgets. The officers saluted in silence. Across the hangars, lights flickered on. One by one, the ships awakened. The engines roared, shaking the tunnels. The moon trembled. Humanity's vengeance was alive. Somewhere far away, in the heart of the Council's capital, alarms began to flash. Unidentified energy readings near Sol system. The Council sent scouts to investigate. None returned. The silence of space grew deeper. The storm was rising, and it had a name, Earth. Whispers began to spread across the galaxy. They started as quiet rumors, traveling through traders, smugglers, and long-range communication channels. Something was happening near the edge of known space. Ships were vanishing. Stations were going silent. The Council dismissed the reports at first, blaming pirates or navigation errors. But the pattern grew impossible to ignore. Every missing ship had been near human borders. Something was out there, something the Council could not see. In secret, they sent scout fleets, small groups of advanced ships with stealth tech, to investigate. None ever returned. The official report said communication failure, but every commander knew the truth. They were being erased. Meanwhile, in the dark corners of space, Earth's fleet was testing its power. The Eclipse-class ships had become ghosts, moving unseen, striking in silence. They targeted unguarded supply depots, secret listening posts, and patrols that entered human space without permission. Each time, there were no survivors. The Council's sensors detected nothing, only static and silence where fleets once existed. To the galaxy, it looked like random disappearances. But to humanity, it was the first step of their plan. On the command bridge of the flagship Vengeance, Admiral Reyes watched the holomap of space. Red dots, Council patrols, blinked and vanished one by one. His officers worked quietly, their faces calm but focused. "They still have no idea who's behind it," said Captain Mira, standing beside him. Reyes nodded slightly. "Good. Let the fear grow. Let them think the stars themselves are turning against them." Mira looked at the fading red lights. "When will we reveal ourselves?" Reyes didn't answer right away. He stared at the empty void on the map, his eyes cold. "When they remember what they did to us." Far away, on the Council's capital world of Zerath Prime, the High Chancellor paced inside his grand chamber. The alien leader's skin shimmered with nervous colors as he read the latest reports. 13 fleets missing. 4 colonies offline. Trade routes disrupted. Panic was spreading among member races. Representatives shouted at one another, demanding answers. Some whispered that humanity was behind it, but the Chancellor refused to believe it. "Humans don't have this kind of power," he said. "They're still rebuilding." He wanted to believe his own words, but doubt gnawed at him. Deep down, he knew they had underestimated Earth. That night, a transmission arrived at the Council chamber. It was short, silent for several seconds before a voice echoed through the room. It was human. "We remember everything," the voice said. Then the screen went black. No one spoke. The Chancellor's heart pounded in his chest. He looked around at the terrified faces of his advisors. "Find them," he ordered. "Now." Across the galaxy, the Council launched massive search operations. Fleets spread out, scanning every corner of known space. But they found nothing. The humans had learned the art of invisibility. They moved through the void like shadows, slipping between sensors, leaving only wreckage behind. Humanity had become a myth, a ghost story told among alien soldiers. They whispered that the humans had made a deal with darkness itself, that they had become something more than flesh and blood. Some believed it. Some laughed. But all felt the same fear: the next fleet to vanish could be theirs. On board the Eclipse, Captain Mira led her crew through another silent operation. Their target was a Council communication array hidden inside an asteroid field. It linked half of the Council's outer territories. If it fell, the Council would lose contact with dozens of worlds. The ship approached under full stealth. "Power level steady," reported the navigator. "Enemy sensors haven't picked us up." Mira nodded. "Fire when ready." A single beam of dark energy cut through the void, silent and deadly. The asteroid shattered in a burst of light, breaking apart like glass. The array was gone. No warning, no trace, no survivors. Mira watched the explosion fade on the screen. Her voice was calm but filled with quiet anger. "That's for Titan Base." The crew said nothing, but every one of them felt the same fire burning inside. Back on the moon, the Human Command Center received the confirmation. The Council's communication network was collapsing. Admiral Reyes stood in silence, staring at the report. They can't coordinate now, one of his officers said. They're blind. Reyes nodded slowly. Good. Keep them blind. He turned toward the main screen, showing the hologram of the Milky Way. Next, we move closer. They wanted to see humanity's strength. Let's show them what fear looks like. As the war fleet advanced, strange energy readings began to appear across Council sectors. Stations detected signals that lasted less than a second, as if something massive was moving faster than light itself. The scientists called it impossible. But the humans called it the blink drive. It allowed ships to vanish and reappear across entire systems, a technology so advanced that even the oldest Council races could not comprehend it. Every alien nation realized, too late, that humanity had surpassed them. In a single generation, humans had done what took others thousands of years. The betrayal had not broken them, it had perfected them. Soon, the outer worlds began to fall silent one by one. Trade convoys disappeared without a trace. Fleets sent to investigate never returned. On every destroyed ship, the few fragments left behind carried the same symbol, a black circle with a silver outline. The mark of the Terran War Fleet. Panic turned to chaos within the Council. They tried to hide the truth from the public, claiming unknown cosmic forces were responsible. But rumors spread faster than light. Civilians began to evaluate border worlds, fearing the ghosts of Earth. Some called them demons. Some called them angels of vengeance. None called them human anymore. On Zerath Prime, the Chancellor stared at a frozen screen showing the words from that terrifying message, "We remember everything." His advisor spoke in a shaking voice. "Sir, if it really is the humans," the Chancellor interrupted, his voice trembling with anger and fear. "Then may the stars protect us all." But no stars would protect them now. In the darkness between systems, the human fleet gathered. Thousands of ships aligned silently, engines glowing faintly in the void. Admiral Reyes looked out from the command deck of the Vengeance. His voice was calm but heavy with purpose. "They thought they could erase us," he said quietly. "Now, we erase their lies." The fleet's engines flared to life. The darkness moved. Humanity was no longer the hunted. They were coming. And in the silence of deep space, the galaxy finally understood that something unstoppable had awakened. The war for vengeance had begun. The first strike came without warning. One quiet night in the far edges of the galaxy, a Council patrol fleet of 200 ships drifted through Sector 9, scanning the empty void. They found nothing unusual, no trace of enemies, no signal of danger. And then, in a heartbeat, the stars disappeared. Darkness swallowed them whole. The scanners screamed for a second before all systems went dead. From the void, shadows emerged, massive ships, black as space itself, their hulls bending light, their engines whispering with power. Humanity's war fleet had arrived. The Eclipse-class ships surrounded the alien patrol like predators in the dark. There were no warnings, no messages, no mercy. The first volley of dark energy cannons tore through space like lightning. Alien ships exploded in silence, their hulls vaporized before they even realized what had happened. Within minutes, the entire patrol was gone. No wreckage, no survivors, only silence. The humans didn't stay to celebrate, they vanished again into the darkness, leaving only fear behind. Across the galaxy, reports poured in, fleets missing, colonies burning, planets going dark. The Council refused to believe the truth. They had crushed many species before, but never had any dared strike back like this. What they didn't understand was that humanity was not fighting for conquest, they were fighting for justice. On the bridge of the flagship Vengeance, Admiral Reyes watched the destruction unfold through live feeds. Each victory brought no joy to him, only quiet resolve. "They wanted to control the galaxy," he said softly. "Now they will learn who truly controls the dark." Captain Mira stood beside him, her eyes focused on the tactical display. "Next target is the Zaloran defense line," she said. "They were the ones who led the attack on Titan." Reyes nodded. Then we start with them. The human fleet moved again, silent and unseen. The blink drives activated, tearing space open with a ripple of blue light. Within seconds, the entire armada vanished from one system and appeared in another, right above the Zaloran stronghold. The alien world below glowed with thousands of lights, unaware that death was already above them. The moment the fleet appeared, the planetary defense grid detected them. Alarms blared across the surface. Unknown energy signature detected. Massive fleet incoming. The alien commander shouted orders, but it was too late. The human ships unleashed their fury. Beams of dark energy fell from orbit like black lightning, cutting through cities, silencing defenses, vaporizing entire continents in seconds. The planet's crust cracked under the bombardment. From the bridge of the eclipse, Captain Mira watched it burn. Her expression was unreadable. "For my family," she whispered. The bombardment ended within minutes. What was once a thriving world was now a glowing scar in space. The human fleet didn't stay. They moved on, faster than any alien could track. The Council's networks collapsed under the pressure of fear. Every member species demanded protection, but the Council had no answers. Every fleet they sent to intercept the humans vanished. In a desperate move, they called an emergency meeting on Zerath Prime. The High Chancellor's voice trembled as he spoke to the gathered representatives. "We are facing an enemy that defies all logic," he said. "They move like shadows. Our scanners can't detect them. Our weapons can't lock onto them. If we don't act together, they will destroy us all." But unity was already dead. Some races blamed others for the betrayal of Earth, shouting, accusing, threatening. The Council Hall erupted into chaos. Meanwhile, humanity watched. Hidden probes transmitted everything back to the Vengeance. Admiral Reyes stood in silence as the chaos unfolded on screen. "They can't even stand together," Mira said. "They never could," Reyes replied. "That's why we will win." The human fleet struck again, planet after planet, station after station. They didn't attack civilians. They targeted military installations, shipyards, and weapons factories, the heart of the Council's power. Every strike was precise, calculated, and final. No one ever saw them coming. Across the galaxy, the legend of the Ghost Fleet began to spread. Soldiers refused to patrol near human space. Merchants abandoned trade routes that passed near Earth. Even the bravest commanders hesitated to speak of the humans out loud, fearing that saying their name might summon them. In less than a year, the balance of power in the galaxy shattered. The Council, once feared by all, was now crippled. Their fleets were scattered, their colonies isolated. Humanity had become a storm no one could stop. Yet the humans did not celebrate. To them, each victory was a reminder of the lives lost on Mars and Titan. Each destroyed planet was a step closer to justice. Admiral Reyes carried the weight of every decision, knowing that one mistake could doom everything they had built. One night, as the fleet drifted in the darkness between stars, Reyes stood alone by the observation window. The stars shimmered like cold fire. "Do you think they understand yet?" he asked softly. Captain Mira stepped beside him. "Understand what, sir?" "That we never wanted this," he said. "We wanted peace. They chose war. And now, we are simply answering." Mira nodded slowly. "Maybe one day they will understand. But not today." As they spoke, new reports arrived, more Council worlds destroyed, more fleets lost. Fear had become the galaxy's new language. Some alien races tried to surrender, sending desperate messages begging for mercy. But the humans ignored them. The Council's betrayal had united every human heart with one command: finish it. Then came the day that changed everything. The fleet intercepted a Council dreadnought convoy, 5 massive ships carrying weapons meant to retake Earth. They were escorted by hundreds of smaller vessels. It was the largest force the Council had sent since the war began. The humans ambushed them at the edge of a dying star. The battle was short but devastating. The Vengeance fired its main cannon once, and the entire enemy formation collapsed. The dreadnoughts exploded one by one, their reactors igniting the void in blinding light. When the light faded, nothing remained. Not even debris. Humanity had proven their dominance. As the silence returned, Admiral Reyes gave a single order: send the message. A transmission was sent across the galaxy. It carried only 4 words: this is just beginning. The Council received it in terrified silence. Every world, every race, every leader now knew that humanity's vengeance was far from over. The storm was moving closer to the core worlds. The humans were not invaders, they were executioners. And as the Dark Fleet disappeared into the void once more, only one truth remained. The betrayal had started this war. But humanity would be the one to end it. The Galactic Council was in chaos. Every day brought new reports of vanished fleets, dead worlds, and terrified colonies begging for protection. What once had been the most powerful government in the galaxy was now a trembling shadow of its former self. Meetings stretched through endless nights, filled with shouting and fear. The High Chancellor stood at the center of it all, surrounded by angry alien leaders demanding answers. "You promised control," one shouted. "You said the humans were broken," another accused. The Chancellor slammed his fist against the table. "Silence! We are doing everything we can." But even he no longer believed his own words. Humanity's fleet was moving through their territories like a phantom storm. They struck without pattern, without warning, without leaving survivors. The Council tried everything, deploying decoy fleets, hiding bases, encrypting their communications, but nothing worked. Wherever they ran, humanity found them. It was as if Earth's warships could see through time itself. In desperation, the Council authorized a plan, a massive trap. The idea was simple but dangerous. They would lure the human fleet into a nebula rich in ion storms, where sensors and communications failed. Inside the nebula, the Council had hidden over 3,000 ships, including their most advanced dreadnoughts. If the humans entered, they would be surrounded and destroyed. It was a gamble, but it was the Council's last hope. The nebula became known as the Grave Star. Days later, hidden sensors detected a ripple at its edge, strange energy readings, the kind the humans always left behind. The bait had worked. The fleet was coming. Inside the flagship Vengeance, Admiral Reyes studied the holographic display. The nebula glowed faintly on the map, swirling with radiation and static. "They think they've hidden from us," he said quietly. Captain Mira stood beside him, arms crossed. "They're waiting for us in there." Reyes nodded. "Good. Then we won't make them wait long." The human fleet approached the Grave Star, engines humming softly. The aliens inside waited, weapons charged, hearts pounding. The moment the first human ship appeared on their scanners, the Council commander shouted, "Fire everything." Thousands of energy blasts cut through the void, lighting the nebula like a sun. For a moment, it seemed as if the trap had worked. But then, the light faded, and the human fleet was gone. Confusion filled the alien ships. "Where are they?" the commander yelled. Suddenly, sensors screamed. Behind them, within the heart of their formation, space itself tore open. The Vengeance and the entire human armada emerged from the rift, their cannons glowing with deadly light. The blink drive had allowed them to appear inside the ambush. Before the Council could react, the humans fired. Dark energy beams sliced through enemy lines, erasing ships by the hundreds. The nebula lit up like a dying star. Explosions spread in waves, blinding sensors, tearing through the ambushers. For every human ship hit, 100 alien ships fell. Within an hour, it was over. The Grave Star burned with the light of 3,000 destroyed vessels. On the bridge of the Vengeance, Captain Mira whispered, "They thought they could trap us." Reyes didn't look away from the screen. Now they're the ones trapped, in their own fear. News of the massacre spread faster than light. The Council tried to hide it, but it was impossible. Too many signals, too many witnesses. Every race in the galaxy saw the same message: the mighty Council fleet had been destroyed in one battle. Entire civilizations began to panic. Some withdrew from the Council, declaring neutrality. Others secretly reached out to Earth, begging for peace. But humanity was silent. No messages, no threats, only action. Across hundreds of systems, the war fleet continued its advance. Every step was precise, every target chosen for a reason. Humanity wasn't attacking randomly, they were dismantling the Council's power piece by piece. Supply lines collapsed, communication hubs were erased, and the Council's economy fell apart. Entire worlds fell into silence as the humans' black ships appeared above their skies. The Council's once proud armada was now scattered and broken. On Zerath Prime, the High Chancellor sat in his darkened chamber, staring at the destruction reports. His advisors argued, desperate to find hope. "We must negotiate," one shouted. "They will listen if we offer surrender." But another slammed his hand on the table. "No. They will not stop until we are all dead." The Chancellor closed his eyes. He knew the truth: there would be no peace. The humans had given them a chance long ago, before the betrayal. They had ignored it. Now they were paying the price. Meanwhile, aboard the Vengeance, Admiral Reyes stood before his officers. The holographic map of the galaxy flickered, showing the Council's shrinking territory. "They've lost half their fleets," said one of the strategists. "Their central worlds are defenseless." Reyes nodded slowly. "Then it's time to send them a message." He turned to the communication officer. "Open all channels." Across the galaxy, every Council receiver crackled to life. A single voice echoed through the stars, the voice of humanity. "This is Admiral Reyes of Earth. You have taken our worlds, our people, our trust. You betrayed us when we sought peace. And now, you face the consequences of your lies. Surrender those responsible for the attack on Mars and Titan. Deliver them to us. Do this, and we will end the war. Refuse, and the stars themselves will burn." For a moment, the entire galaxy fell silent. On every world, beings of every race listened to the message. Some hoped the Council would accept. Others prayed the humans would stop. But the Council refused. Their pride blinded them. They sent a defiant response: "Earth has no authority here. You are outlaws. You will be destroyed." When the message reached the Vengeance, the officers stared at the screen in disbelief. Captain Mira clenched her fists. "They still don't understand." Admiral Reyes's expression hardened. "Then we'll make them understand." He turned toward the stars beyond the viewport. "Plot a course for their core worlds. If they want destruction, we'll give them a lesson they'll never forget." The fleet prepared for departure. Engines flared, dark and silent. The humans had given the Council one last chance at survival, and they had thrown it away. Now, nothing could stop what was coming. As the ships disappeared into the void, a single message pulsed through the galaxy's networks: "The war fleet moves. The reckoning begins." And across the stars, every species held its breath, knowing that the storm of humanity was about to fall upon the heart of the Galactic Council itself. The Galactic Council's homeworld, Etherian Prime, once stood as a symbol of unity, a shining jewel among the stars, filled with light, towering cities, and endless fleets orbiting its skies. But now, those skies were dark. Thousands of defense ships circled nervously, scanning every shadow, every signal, afraid of what might come next. Rumors spread faster than truth. Some said the humans were already here, hidden and waiting. Others swore they had seen ghost ships drifting through the outer systems. The fear was constant, thick like smoke. Inside the Grand Chamber, the Council met for what many believed would be the last time. The High Chancellor looked older, his voice heavy with exhaustion. Around him, alien representatives argued endlessly. "We must evaluate," shouted one. "There's nowhere left to run," screamed another. "If we surrender, perhaps they will spare us," a third voice pleaded. But the Chancellor knew the truth: humanity would not be swayed by words. Not anymore. They had crossed a line that could never be undone. The betrayal had lit a fire in human hearts, and now that fire was sweeping across the stars. On the outskirts of the Etherian system, the void shimmered. Space rippled like disturbed water, and then, out of nothingness, they appeared, the Earth War Fleet. Hundreds of black ships, massive and silent, slid out of the darkness. Their hulls reflected no light. They looked less like machines and more like shadows given form. At their center, the Vengeance led the formation, its engines glowing faintly with the eerie light of the blink drive. On the bridge, Admiral Reyes stood still, watching the Council world appear on the screen. "There it is," whispered Captain Mira. "The heart of their power." Reyes didn't speak for a long time. His eyes were locked on the blue-green world below, the same world whose leaders had ordered the destruction of Mars and Titan. "All fleets," Reyes said finally. "Form up and prepare for engagement. No mercy for their warships. Civilian targets are off limits. We are soldiers, not monsters." Across the fleet, thousands of human pilots straightened in their seats. Their hands trembled, not from fear, but anticipation. This was the moment they had trained for. Years of pain, loss, and fury had led to this. On Etherian Prime, alarms blared. Defense stations powered up, anti-orbital cannons pointed skyward, and the alien fleet scrambled to meet the incoming threat. They still believed they could stop humanity, that sheer numbers would win the day. They were wrong. The first salvo came without warning. Human railguns and energy cannons fired as one, unleashing storms of light that tore through space. Alien ships tried to form defensive lines, but the human targeting systems were faster, deadlier. One after another, the Council vessels exploded, scattering debris across orbit. Inside the chaos, the Vengeance cut straight through the enemy ranks, its dark hull untouched by their weapons. The ship moved like a predator among prey. Admiral Reyes gave short, precise orders. Target their command carrier. Disable propulsion. Focus fire on their dreadnoughts. The crew obeyed without hesitation. Within minutes, the Council's main fleet was crippled. Their dreadnoughts, once symbols of dominance, were nothing but wrecks burning in orbit. The human fleet pressed forward, methodical and unstoppable. Down on the surface, cities looked to the sky and saw the heavens on fire. The alien citizens of Etherian Prime had never known war on their own soil. Now they watched in horror as their protectors fell one by one. Panic spread. Evacuation ships tried to flee the planet, but the orbital defenses were failing. The Council's leaders realized their end had come. "Send a message," the High Chancellor cried. "Tell them we surrender. Please, before it's too late." But it was already too late. Their message never reached the humans. Aboard the Vengeance, Reyes watched the destruction unfold. He felt no joy, no satisfaction, only the heavy weight of justice. "Signal all ships to cease fire," he ordered. The weapons fell silent. The battlefield became quiet except for the echo of dying ships drifting in the void. "Sir," Captain Mira said softly, "they're trying to communicate. Should we open a channel?" Reyes nodded. The alien chancellor appeared on the holographic display, his face pale and trembling. "Admiral Reyes," he began, voice shaking, we surrender. The Council yields. Please, spare our people." For a long moment, Reyes said nothing. The bridge was silent except for the hum of the engines. Then, finally, he spoke. "You asked for mercy. But where was your mercy when you ordered the attack on Mars? When you bombed Titan? When you watched humans burn?" The Chancellor's voice broke. "We feared you. You were growing too fast. You threatened everything we built." Reyes's eyes narrowed. "So you decided to destroy us before we could stand beside you?" The Chancellor bowed his head, unable to answer. "You were right to fear us," Reyes said coldly. "But not for the reasons you thought." With a single motion, he ended the transmission. "Admiral?" Mira asked quietly. "What are your orders?" Reyes stared at the glowing planet below. Millions of innocent lives lived there, children, workers, families. They weren't soldiers. They weren't guilty of the Council's crimes. "We don't kill the innocent," he said. "Send landing parties. Secure the Council's archives and communication centers. We'll take control of their world, not destroy it." Across the fleet, dropships descended through the burning atmosphere. Human soldiers, clad in dark armor, landed on alien soil for the first time. The war was nearly over, but not finished. As the soldiers marched through the ruined capital, they saw the devastation the Council had caused across the galaxy: enslaved worlds, oppressed colonies, and broken promises. Humanity wasn't the only species that had suffered. Some aliens even knelt before the humans, whispering words of gratitude. "You freed us," they said. The soldiers said nothing, but deep down, they felt the same confusion. Had they come for vengeance or justice? When the Vengeance landed in the Capitol Square, Admiral Reyes stepped out, greeted by silence. The once proud Council banners lay torn on the ground. He looked around, then spoke quietly to his officers. "This world is under Terran control. The war is over, for now." But even as he said the words, Reyes knew it wasn't truly the end. Across the stars, fragments of the Council still remained, admirals who refused to surrender, warlords who would rise again. And beyond them, other civilizations watched in silence, wondering if humanity would become the very thing they had once feared. As the sun rose over the shattered skyline of Etherian Prime, the Admiral looked toward the horizon. "The galaxy will remember this day," he said. "Not because we conquered them, but because we survived them." In that moment, he understood the truth. Vengeance had brought them victory, but only unity would decide what came next. Humanity had proven its strength, but now it had to decide what kind of power it would become. The smoke still hung over Etherian Prime like a ghost. Days had passed since the Council's defeat, yet the air carried the weight of fear and silence. Streets once filled with proud aliens were now empty, littered with wreckage and shattered symbols of power. Humanity's banners now flew above the Capitol Tower, dark and simple, a silent reminder that the age of the Galactic Council was over. But even in victory, peace did not come easily. Admiral Reyes stood in the command center overlooking the alien city. The world below seemed calm, but his instincts told him it was only the calm before another storm. Reports came in hourly: small uprisings, sabotage attempts, hidden Council loyalists still fighting in the shadows. Humanity had won the war, but holding that victory was another battle entirely. Captain Mira entered the room, holding a datapad. "Admiral, intelligence teams found something," she said. "A hidden Council base, deep beneath the surface. It's transmitting encrypted signals. We think someone survived the collapse." Reyes looked at her sharply. "Who?" "We don't know yet. But the encryption matches the High Command's frequency." That meant someone powerful, maybe one of the surviving Council warlords, was still alive. Reyes nodded slowly. "Prepare a strike team. I want to see this for myself." Hours later, deep beneath the ruined city, the humans descended through ancient tunnels built before the Council's rise to power. The walls glowed faintly with alien symbols, and the air was cold and heavy. As they moved deeper, static filled their comms. "Stay sharp," Reyes ordered. The deeper they went, the more uneasy the soldiers became. Then, they found it, a massive chamber filled with glowing machinery, and in the center, a single stasis pod. Inside was a being unlike any they had seen before. Tall, armored, and surrounded by swirling energy fields, it looked more like a god than a politician. "Who is that?" Mira whispered. The technician scanned the pod. Identified as Zeltor, the Council's supreme strategist. He was believed dead. Reyes's eyes hardened. "He's not dead. Not yet." A sudden tremor shook the chamber. Alarms blared. The stasis pod began to crack, and the alien's eyes snapped open, glowing bright gold. "You," Zeltor hissed, his voice echoing like thunder. "Humans. The destroyers. The corrupted children of chaos. Reyes stepped forward. "We're the ones you betrayed." The alien smiled faintly, even as energy sparked around him. "You think you've won? You've only broken one chain. The real power behind the Council still watches. You've awakened something far greater than you can imagine." Before Reyes could respond, the alien's body disintegrated into light, leaving only an empty shell and a pulsing energy core. The core emitted a signal, one that spread far beyond the system. "Sir," the technician shouted. "It's transmitting into deep space. We can't stop it." Reyes turned to Mira. "Shut it down, now." But it was too late. The signal vanished, and the core went dark. The Admiral stood in silence. Whatever he called, it's coming. When they returned to the surface, the news had already spread. Across the galaxy, dormant machines, ancient satellites, and hidden probes began to awaken. Strange readings were reported from every border system. Entire stars flickered as if reacting to something unseen. Captain Mira watched the data scroll across the holographic display. "These signals aren't random," she said quietly. "They're coordinates." Reyes frowned. "Coordinates to what?" "To something called the Origin Vault," Mira replied. "It's in a system outside known space. No records, no maps. It predates the Council." The Admiral stood silently for a long time. "Prepare a task force," he said finally. "If this Origin Vault is connected to what Zeltor said, we need to find it before anyone else does." Within hours, a fleet of 20 ships departed Etherian Prime, leaving the occupied world behind. The journey to the edge of the galaxy was long and quiet. The deeper they went, the stranger the stars became. Signals warped, sensors glitched, and the crew began to whisper about ghosts in the static. Finally, after days of travel, they arrived. The system was unlike any other. Its star pulsed slowly, surrounded by enormous fragments of ancient structures. At the center, suspended in space, was the vault. It was a massive, black sphere the size of a moon, covered in markings older than any known civilization. Even the sensors refused to scan it properly. "It's not metal," Mira whispered. "It's alive." Reyes stared at the massive object. "Bring us closer." As the fleet approached, the vault began to react. Lines of light spread across its surface like veins awakening after a long sleep. Then, a deep vibration echoed through every ship. The lights dimmed, and a voice filled the comms, not human, not alien, but something ancient and vast. "You have broken the balance," it said. "The chains that bound the stars are undone. Who calls upon the Origin?" Reyes exchanged glances with his officers. "This is Admiral Reyes of Earth. Identify yourself." The voice replied, slow and heavy. "We are the architects. We forged the Council. We forged order. You, children of dust, have shattered it." The bridge fell silent. Mira whispered, "They created the Council." "Yes," the voice boomed. "The Council was born to contain the chaos of war. To keep the younger races from destroying one another. But you have undone the seal." Reyes clenched his fists. "They betrayed us. They killed billions. That's not order, that's control." The voice grew colder. "You were not meant to rise so quickly. Your kind bends the laws of creation. You are a danger to all existence." "Then you shouldn't have underestimated us," Reyes said. The vault pulsed brighter. "So be it," the voice said. "We will correct this error. The architects will return." And with that, the connection ended. The vault's surface split open, releasing a wave of light that flung the human ships backward. The shockwave tore through the system, distorting space itself. When the glare faded, the vault was gone. In its place, hundreds of massive energy readings appeared, ancient ships, awakening after millennia of sleep. "Admiral," Mira whispered, her voice trembling. "They're waking up. The architects are real." Reyes looked out at the stars, his jaw tightening. "Then the war isn't over," he said. It's only beginning. As the human fleet regrouped, the admiral turned to his crew. Send word to Earth. Tell them what we've found. And tell them to prepare, because whatever's coming next will make the council look like children. In the distance, the stars flickered, one by one, as if something vast and unseen was spreading through the darkness. The galaxy had thought humanity's vengeance was terrifying. They were about to learn what true terror really was.